how frightening that is, because once you realize there's no one at the wheel, it kind of makes you feel both master of your own world, but also very vulnerable and very alone. Can I ask, like, what is the effect? When did you start going from just your mother protecting your child to activist? Was it during that period or was it afterwards? And can you, without wanting to get too much into personal details, can you tell us a little bit about what your daughter went through?
Oh, sure. Okay, so the one event that really got me most activated was when they were hosting a speaker here at our Davis schools, and she was going to be talking about the transgender child. It was hosted by the school district, brought in an author, activist to talk about this, and kids 12 and over were invited. So I reached out to another mother in Davis, Allie Snyder, Snide, not Snarky, I think is her name on Twitter, and then Erin Friday. And the three of us together, we did a demonstration in front of the high school that my daughter went to, and we spoke out at the school board meeting. And we said, we can't bring in an author who's talking about gender transition plans at the school and, basically cutting parents off if they're not affirming. And, I think it went really well. The high school kids wrote a story about it. And actually the author of that story was a trans identified girl. And so she got to hear our side and also their side.
Yes.
And so, soon after that, they wrote a big article, a 5-page story about my daughter and me called How a Davis Mom's Very Public Anti-Trans Stance Has Pushed Away Her Non-Binary Teen. So the space between us. But
wow.
So it's a 5-page story, but what's really nice about it is it included a lot of photos and video of my daughter talking about herself and how she had changed. She identified as a trans boy, and then she identifies as non-binary, and she changed her names. And she spoke about me and my activism. And I think she did it in a loving way, right? It was like, this is my mother, she makes my friends, my community feel unsafe, but I don't think she's doing it from a place of,
hate,
to be hateful. And so, and it was nice because she shared her story. And so then I didn't feel like I was always invading her privacy by talking about, kind of what we experienced as a family. It impacted the grandparents, it impacted her sibling, it impacted me and my community.
How many years did her identifying as something other than a girl? How long did that go on?
So it started in 2017. And so she would have been about 13 years old. And several of her classmates, they were all in the honors gifted classes. They were all in theater or choir. They were, very similar type girls. And I would say to the school counselor, why all of a sudden do we have all these girls who think they're boys? And, and then the school counselor was like, well, we just went to this training in Palm Springs with the teachers union, and we learned about the LGBTQ, students and what we need to do to support them. But I had no idea that, my daughter's the first kind of cohort of kids to be taught this in their science and health class. So I actually asked to sit in on my son's health class so I could watch the gender identity unit be taught. And it just blew me away. They were showing pictures of women who had top surgery, with their shirts off, calling them trans men, showing a pregnant woman with a beard and, mustache and facial hair. And then they showed Bruce Jenner as Caitlyn Jenner as the example of the trans woman. And they're showing these pictures to kids in junior high school. So, so as